Have you ever felt completely drained and detached from your work? If your answer is yes, you might be experiencing something known as burnout. But what exactly is burnout? Well, according to the World Health Organization, or WHO, burnout is a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that hasn't been successfully managed. It's so significant that it's categorized as an occupational phenomenon in the International Classification of Diseases. So, how does burnout differ from regular stress? You see, stress is a normal reaction to challenging situations. It's something we all experience from time to time. Burnout, on the other hand, refers to an ongoing state of stress that has become persistent and debilitating. It's not just about feeling tired or overwhelmed, it's about feeling that way consistently, without relief or respite. The WHO defines burnout by 3 core dimensions. First, feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion. This can show up as physical or emotional fatigue, a sense of being overwhelmed, and a lack of motivation or engagement with work. The second dimension is an increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. This could mean feeling cynical towards colleagues, the organization, or the work itself, feeling detached from one's responsibilities, and experiencing diminished interest and satisfaction in one's role. And the third dimension is reduced professional efficacy. This involves a sense of decreased accomplishment or productivity, doubting one's own competence, and experiencing negative self-evaluation in the workplace. Now, it's important to note that burnout is specifically an occupational phenomenon. It's not a term to be tossed around lightly to describe experiences in other areas of life. Recognizing the signs of burnout is crucial for both individuals and organizations, as it can have significant negative impacts on mental and physical health, productivity, and employee retention. So, as we delve deeper into this topic, let's not forget, burnout isn't just about having a bad day, or even a bad week at work. It's a serious condition that demands attention. So, recognize that burnout is more than just a bad day at work. It's a serious condition that demands attention. Burnout is not a one-size-fits-all condition. It has 3 distinct dimensions. These dimensions serve as the pillars that underpin the phenomenon we know as burnout. They are feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. Let's take a closer look at each of these dimensions. The first is feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion. This is more than just feeling tired after a long day at work. It's a persistent sense of physical and emotional fatigue that doesn't go away with rest. It's like running a marathon and then being told to keep running. You feel drained, spent, and unable to recharge. The second dimension is an increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. This isn't about having an off day or feeling a bit grumpy. This is a deep-seated detachment from your work and perhaps even your colleagues. It's a sense of disillusionment and a lack of interest in what you're doing. You might find yourself becoming more cynical, less motivated, and less satisfied with your work. Lastly, there's reduced professional efficacy. This is when you start doubting your ability to do your job effectively. You might feel like you're not achieving as much as you used to, or that your work quality has dropped. This isn't just about having a bad day or a tough week. It's a continuous feeling that your professional abilities are diminishing. Each of these dimensions can manifest differently in the workplace. Some might experience all 3 intensely, while others may primarily grapple with just 1 or 2. The key is recognizing these dimensions in yourself or in those around you. Burnout is not a badge of honor or a sign of dedication. It's a serious issue that can have significant impacts on health, happiness, and productivity. Understanding these dimensions can help identify burnout before it escalates. Remember, burnout is not inevitable. With awareness, understanding, and the right strategies, it can be addressed and prevented. Burnout has key features that set it apart from other occupational stresses. This isn't your typical bad day at work or a brief spell of fatigue. The defining characteristics of workplace burnout are more intense, more persistent, and they penetrate deeper into our lives. Firstly, we have exhaustion. This isn't just feeling tired after a long day or week at work, it's a constant state of fatigue that doesn't go away, even after a good night's sleep. It's a deep-seated weariness that's physical, emotional, and mental. It's feeling drained of energy, waking up already feeling depleted, and trudging through the day with heavy steps. Next, we have cynicism and detachment. This is when you start to develop a negative, even cynical attitude towards your work, your colleagues, or your organization. It's when you catch yourself becoming emotionally distant from your work-related activities. It's when you start to feel like your work doesn't matter, or worse, when it feels like a burden. And then there's reduced performance. This is when you start to notice a drop in your effectiveness and productivity. It's when making decisions becomes a struggle, and your concentration seems to have taken a permanent vacation. It's when you feel like you're not accomplishing as much as you used to, or when you start doubting your own competence. But remember, these features aren't isolated. They're interconnected, feeding off each other and amplifying their effects. The exhaustion makes you more cynical. The cynicism makes you less productive. The drop in productivity makes you feel more exhausted. It's a vicious cycle that can be hard to break. And it's not just about work. These features of burnout can spill over into your personal life, affecting your relationships, your health, and your overall sense of well-being. These features, when persistent, can be indicative of a deeper issue: burnout. It's a state of chronic stress that needs to be addressed not just for the sake of your job, but for the sake of your health and happiness. Burnout doesn't just appear out of the blue, it has underlying causes. Just as a seed needs the right conditions to grow, burnout often sprouts from a fertile soil of workplace stresses. Let's delve into some of these contributing factors. First up, excessive workload. When the scale tips heavily on the work side, it's like trying to run a marathon at a sprinter's pace. You might keep up for a while, but eventually fatigue sets in. And when the load doesn't lighten, burnout can creep in. Next, consider a lack of control. Imagine being a passenger in a car that's barreling down a winding road at high speed. That's how it feels when you have little control over your work or can't influence decisions that affect you. This feeling of helplessness can fuel the burnout blaze. Then there's lack of recognition. Recognition is like the water that nourishes our motivation. When our efforts go unnoticed, it can leave us feeling unappreciated and undervalued. This emotional drought can lead to burnout. Now, let's talk about poor work-life balance. When work begins to encroach on our personal lives, it can feel like we're always on the clock. The boundaries blur and we find ourselves unable to switch off. This imbalance can be a fast track to burnout. Unclear expectations can also play a part. When roles and responsibilities are as clear as mud, it can leave us feeling lost and unsure. This uncertainty can be a breeding ground for stress and, in turn, burnout. And lastly, we have toxic workplace culture. A work environment that's unsupportive or riddled with conflict can be like a ticking time bomb for burnout. It's hard to thrive when the atmosphere is stifling. In a nutshell, these are some of the common causes of workplace burnout. They're like pieces of a puzzle that, when put together, can form a picture of burnout. But remember, addressing these underlying issues can be a significant step towards preventing burnout. It's about recognizing the signs, taking action, and creating a healthier, more balanced work environment. Ignoring burnout doesn't make it disappear. It only exacerbates the problem. When we allow burnout to fester unaddressed, we're not just ignoring a personal issue, but a pervasive organizational challenge. The implications of burnout extend far beyond the individual, impacting the collective health and productivity of the entire team. One cannot overstate the importance of recognizing and addressing burnout, both for the individual and the organization. Burnout can have profound effects on individuals' mental and physical health, leading to conditions such as depression, anxiety, and even heart disease. More than these health risks, it can erode their sense of self, leaving them questioning their competence and worth. On an organizational level, burnout can significantly hamper productivity. When employees are burnt out, they're not functioning at their best. They may struggle with tasks they once found easy, make more errors, and find it hard to concentrate. This can lead to a decrease in overall productivity and an increase in costs due to mistakes and rework. Moreover, burnout can lead to higher employee turnover. When employees feel overwhelmed and unsupported, they're more likely to seek opportunities elsewhere. This not only results in the loss of talent, but also incurs significant costs in recruitment and training of new staff. Addressing burnout isn't just about mitigating these risks. It's about creating an environment where people can thrive. It's about fostering a culture of empathy and support, where individuals feel valued and heard. It's about implementing policies that promote work-life balance and provide employees with the resources they need to manage stress effectively. Tackling burnout requires a proactive, holistic approach. It involves recognizing the signs, understanding the root causes, and taking decisive action to address them. It's about creating a dialogue around mental health and making it a priority. Remember, addressing burnout isn't a one-time fix, but a continuous process. It requires consistent effort and commitment from all levels of the organization. Tackling burnout is not just about improving productivity, it's about fostering healthier, happier workplaces.